Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and stick around. Also, if you need help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. I also have a mini course, Telepathically Connect with Your Specific Person. So if you guys are interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I want to give all of you guys who are manifesting a specific person a little bit of an alternative perspective. I know a lot of you are dealing with a lot of resistance, especially when it comes to what version of your specific person is showing up in your life. And so I wanted to introduce you to this sort of alternative perspective of how sometimes, in some cases, actually in many cases, accepting the version that you are seeing currently in the 3D might actually be the best way to reduce your resistance and to actually overcome it altogether. So this is what I'll be discussing in today's video. Stay tuned. So I know that we talk a lot in the manifesting community about how you can recreate your specific person, about how you can bring about a new version of them, about how you can change your own perceptions of them so that you can change what they're also reflecting back to you in the 3D. And all of these things are real, all of these things are true. However, I'm also aware that most of you who have tried to bring about a new version of your specific person by changing your own perceptions, changing your own assumptions, especially if they have to do with a backstory, if they have to do with old circumstances, with an old story, if they're associated with hurt and pain, might actually find it quite challenging. And yes, it's absolutely true 100% that you can change your perceptions and you can change your assumptions about a specific person. You can change how you view the whole relationship and the whole situation and the person, but a lot of the time that also brings with it a lot of resistance. And as a manifesting coach, I can tell you that the number one thing that can delay a manifestation is having resistance towards what you're manifesting. So as a manifesting coach, I'm always in favor of finding any way you can to reduce that resistance, or ideally to overcome it altogether. Because reducing or overcoming your resistance is definitely 100% going to bring about your manifestation much faster, much easier, much more naturally, and much more effortlessly. So even though it might feel controversial, even though it might feel a bit counterproductive, sometimes, actually in a lot of cases, actually accepting the version of the person that you are seeing. And of course, let me clarify here, I'm not talking about abusive situations. If you're in an abusive situation, you should be walking away. I'm not talking about toxic situations like that. I'm talking about specific things, specific traits, specific characteristics you might not be crazy about in your specific person. But in many cases, accepting these traits, accepting these features, accepting these characteristics, in other words, accepting that, yes, this is who they are, this is how they are, first of all, can reduce your resistance by a lot, if not overcome it altogether. And second, it can actually have the effect that you want. Because now you're no longer triggered by that trait, by that behavior, by that attitude, whatever it might be. Now you've accepted it. Now you've developed some compassion. Now you are seeing it as a part of who they are. Now you're starting to love it and to accept it. And so what that does, interestingly, is that it brings you a step, or actually multiple steps, closer to your person, and your person receives that energy subconsciously. And by receiving your acceptance energy subconsciously, guess what's going to happen? They are actually going to come closer to being the version that you want them to be. In other words, you stop being triggered by something that used to trigger you before. Let's say they don't communicate as much as you would prefer them to, or maybe they're a little short in how they write their messages, or maybe they're a little short in their phone calls, or whatever it might be. Yes, you would prefer for this to change, but you can also take the alternative approach and decide that this is perfectly okay. This is who they are. They have so many other amazing traits. I love them for who they are. I accept them for who they are. I'm not going to be triggered any longer by that trait that they used to find annoying. And so by accepting them for who they are, accepting that trait, deciding that you're no longer triggered by that trait, that it's okay for them to have them. What you're also doing at the same time is you're dropping that inner judgment towards them. You're dropping that inner annoyance, that inner upset you might be feeling about that trait or about that attitude or that behavior. And like I just said, this gets subconsciously transmitted to them. They start receiving and subconsciously feeling your acceptance. They start feeling the change in your energy. And what that does to them is that it actually changes them. It actually softens them up. It actually makes them subconsciously want to come closer to you. So don't be surprised if they start showing up as a version of themselves that is much, much closer to what you would actually desire in the first place. And don't be surprised either if they start showing up as being much more willing to match your wants and your desires and your expectations. And that happens because you've accepted them, you've dropped the judgment, the inner judgment that you might have been feeling about them, about whatever trait it was that was annoying you, or whatever trait it was that you preferred that they changed, and whatever trait you had been trying to manifest away and to change through manifesting. Instead, now you've started to love that trait, you've started to accept that trait, you've dropped your resistance towards that trait, you've dropped your trigger that you had towards that trait. And so now what happens is that it starts becoming a non-issue because, as we've said in other videos, when you drop a trigger, the trigger ceases to exist. That's how it works in the 3D. Now, once again, of course, this doesn't apply to every and all situations. But if you're in a situation, if you're in a case where you can move towards a space of acceptance towards your specific person, even for those traits of theirs that you don't prefer, might not be ideal for you, you might not be crazy about, the results and what happens next might actually really surprise you in a really pleasant way. So this was some food for thought I wanted to give you guys today. I want you to think about that. If it applies to you or if it can apply to you, try it and see how it works for you. See how it works to take away your resistance. And see how this easy hack, let's call it, around your resistance might actually help transform your relationship with your specific person. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.